Tonight was the biggest catering job of her life. If she did well, the agency promised her more high-paying events. Maya needed this money badly. Her student loans were crushing her, and her small apartment's rent kept going up every month. Being a waitress wasn't her dream, but it paid the bills while she figured out her life. The dinner party was finally winding down. Rich people in expensive suits were laughing and drinking champagne that cost more per bottle than Maya made in a week. She moved quietly between them. Invisible like all service workers tend to be to wealthy people. They talked about stock markets, private jets, and vacation homes like she wasn't even there. Maya pushed open the heavy wooden door to Park Jin's private study. The room was dark except for a small desk lamp casting warm light across the mahogany furniture. She was supposed to collect any dirty glasses and make sure everything was clean before leaving. The sooner she finished, the sooner she could go home and soak her tired feet. She spotted two champagne flutes on the massive desk and walked over to grab them. That's when her world completely stopped, sitting in an ornate silver frame, right next to Park Jin's computer, was a photograph that made her blood turn to ice. It was her, not just any photo of her, but a very specific one from when she was 8 years old. She was standing in front of her grandmother's tiny house in Detroit, wearing the same faded yellow dress she remembered loving so much. Her grandmother had taken this picture on Maya's birthday, just 2 months before she died. Maya's hands started trembling so badly she almost dropped the glasses. How was this possible? She had the only copy of this photo in her apartment, tucked away in an old showbox with other memories of her grandmother. She had never shown it to anyone, never posted it online, never even made copies. Her heart was pounding so hard she could hear it in her ears. The room suddenly felt too small to heart. This had to be some kind of mistake. Maybe it just looked like her. But no, she knew her own face, knew that exact moment captured in time. There was even the small scar on her knee from falling off her bike the week before. You found it. The voice came from behind her, calm and quiet. Maya spun around, so fast she nearly fell over. Park Jin was standing in the doorway, but he looked completely different from the smiling host she had seen all evening. His face was serious, almost sad, and his eyes held a weight that made her stomach drop. Maya opened her mouth, but no words came out. She pointed at the photograph with a shaking finger, her mind racing with 1,000 questions and 0 answers. Park Jin stepped into the room and closed the door behind him. The sound of the latch clicking made Maya realize she was trapped with a man who somehow had her childhood photo. Fear started creeping up her spine. How do you have this? She finally managed to whisper, her voice barely audible. Park Jin walked slowly toward his desk, his expensive shoes silent on the thick carpet. He picked up the silver frame and stared at the photo for a long moment, like he was seeing an old friend. I've been looking for you for 20 years, Maya. Away, he said. Her name made her skin crawl. She had never told him her name. Her name tag just said catering staff, and she was supposed to stay anonymous at these events. Rich people didn't want to know the help's names. How do you know who I am? Maya backed toward the door, but Park Jin held up his hand in a peaceful gesture. Please don't run, he said gently. I know this is terrifying and confusing, but I need you to listen to me. Your life depends on it. Maya's hand found the door handle behind her, but something in his voice made her pause. He didn't sound like a crazy person or a stalker. He sounded tired, like someone carrying a heavy secret for too long. Your grandmother, Park Jin continued, setting the photo back on the desk. She wasn't who you thought she was. My grandmother was Rose Thompson. Maya said firmly. She was a seamstress who raised me after my parents died. She lived in a tiny house in Detroit and made quilts for the church. Park Jin shook his head slowly. That's what she wanted you to believe. But Rose Thompson was not her real name, and sewing was not her real job. She was hiding from something much bigger than you can imagine. Maya felt the world tilting round her. Nothing made sense anymore. The familiar photo, this stranger who knew her name. The impossible story he was telling. She wanted to run, but her legs felt like jelly. She was preparing you for something. Maya, something that's about to change everything. Park Jin led Maya through a hidden door behind his bookshelf. Maya's legs felt weak as they walked down a long hallway she never knew existed. The walls were made of some kind of metal that seemed to shimmer in the dim lighting. Everything looked like something from a science fiction movie. Where are we going? Maya asked, her voice echoing in the narrow space. Somewhere safe. Park Jin replied, somewhere we can talk without being heard. They reached a heavy door that opened with Park Jin's handprint. Inside was a room that took Maya's breath away. Giant computer screens covered every wall, showing images of space, strange symbols, and what looked like star maps. In the center sat a massive desk covered with papers, photographs, and devices she had never seen before. Sit down, Maya, Park Jin said, pointing to a comfortable chair. What I'm about to tell you will change everything you thought you knew about your life. Maya sat down slowly, her hands gripping the armrests. She felt like she was in a dream, but the cold metal of the chair was very real. Park Jin walked to one of the screens and pressed some buttons. Suddenly, a photograph appeared that made Maya gasp. It was her grandmother, but not the way she remembered her. Instead of the simple dresses and grey hair, this woman wore a white lab coat and stood in front of equipment that looked incredibly advanced. Your grandmother's real name was Dr. Kim Hanna, Park Jin said quietly. She was one of the most brilliant scientists Earth has ever known. She studied things that most people couldn't even imagine. Maya shook her head. That's impossible. My grandmother was just a seamstress. She made quilts and grew vegetables in a tiny garden. She never even finished high school. Park Jin pressed another button, and more photos appeared. Maya saw her grandmother working with other scientists, standing next to what looked like pieces of a crashed spaceship, and examining strange glowing rocks under powerful microscopes. She was hiding. Maya, hiding from people who wanted to use her discoveries for terrible things. She chose to disappear and live a simple life to protect you and your mother. Maya felt tears building in her eyes. Protect us from what? Park Jin walked to a locked cabinet and pulled out a thick folder marked with symbols Maya didn't recognize. He opened it and showed her documents covered in official stamps and signatures. 25 years ago, a meteorite crashed in the Nevada desert. But it wasn't just any meteorite. Inside it, scientists found something that changed everything we thought we knew about life in the universe. He showed Maya pictures of the meteorite. It was huge, the size of a small car, and it glowed with a strange blue light. Scientists in protective suits were carefully taking samples from it. The meteorite contained genetic material unlike anything on Earth. DNA that was millions of years more advanced than human DNA. Your grandmother was the lead scientist studying it. Maya looked at the photos, trying to process what she was hearing. What does this have to do with me? Park Jin's expression became very serious. Your grandmother didn't just study the alien DNA. Maya, she experimented with it. She mixed it with human genetic material to see what would happen. The room felt like it was spinning. Maya gripped the chair harder. What are you saying? She tested it on herself first. Before your mother was born, the alien DNA changed her, made her stronger, smarter. able to understand technology in ways no human could, and she passed those changes to your mother. And your mother passed them to you. Maya stood up so fast the chair rolled backward. You're crazy. You're telling me I'm some kind of alien. Not alien, Park Jin said calmly. You're human, but enhanced. Your grandmother created something new, something that could bridge the gap between human and alien technology. He pressed more buttons, and the screens showed images that made Maya's blood run cold. Strange ships floating in space, getting closer to Earth. They were dark and massive, with designs that hurt to look at. There's an alien probe that's been watching Earth for the past 10 years. It's been studying us, learning about our defenses, our weaknesses. And now it's called for backup. Maya felt sick. You're making this up. This is some kind of joke. Park Jin shook his head. I wish it was. That fleet of ships is real, and they're coming here. Your grandmother knew this day would come. She spent her last years preparing for it, and preparing you. He showed Maya more documents, these ones with her name on them, medical records, genetic tests, and reports she had never seen before. Maya Thompson's hands were shaking as she polished the expensive crystal glasses. She had never worked in such a fancy place before. The mansion belonged to Park Jin, one of the richest tech billionaires in the world. Every room screamed wealth. Marble floors, golden decorations, and paintings that probably cost more than an entire apartment rent for 10 years, every time you went to the doctor as a child. Your grandmother was secretly testing you, watching your development. She knew you were special, but she wanted you to have a normal childhood before the truth came out. Maya looked at her hands, really looked at them for the first time. Were they still human hands? Did alien DNA flow through her veins? What am I supposed to do with this information? She whispered. Park Jin walked over and placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. You're supposed to save the world, Maya. You're the only person on Earth who can communicate with their technology, who can understand their language. You're humanity's secret weapon. Maya stared at the screens showing the approaching alien fleet. Dozens of ships, each one bigger than anything humans had ever built. They were coming, and somehow she was supposed to stop them. I'm just a waitress, she said quietly. No, Park Jin replied. You're so much more than that. You just don't know it yet. Maya couldn't sleep for 3 days straight. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw strange images that didn't make sense. Star maps with glowing pathways, alien symbols that somehow felt familiar, and distant planets with purple skies. The dreams were so vivid she could almost smell the alien air and feel the different gravity pulling at her body. But the dreams were just the beginning. On the 4th morning, Maya woke up and immediately knew something was wrong with her apartment's electrical system. She could feel the current flowing through the walls like a gentle humming in her bones. When she touched the light switch, she sensed exactly how much power was flowing through it, how the wiring connected to the main panel, even which outlets weren't working properly in the building. At first, she thought she was going crazy. Normal people couldn't feel electricity, right? But as the days passed, the sensation grew stronger. She could sense every electronic device around her, phones, computers, even the digital clocks on microwaves. It was like having a sixth sense that nobody had told her about. Her reflexes changed too. When she dropped a glass while washing dishes, her hand shot out and caught it before her brain even registered what happened. She moved faster than she ever had before, dodging people on crowded sidewalks without even thinking about it. Once, when a car ran a red light and almost hit her, she jumped backwards so quickly that she ended up on the opposite sidewalk without remembering how she got there. Park Jin had been calling her every day, asking her to come back to his mansion for training. Maya had been avoiding him, trying to pretend that everything he told her was just a crazy story. But as her abilities grew stronger, she realized she needed answers. The underground training facility beneath Park Jin's mansion was even more impressive than his office. The room was huge, with padded walls and advanced equipment that looked like it belonged in a space station. Strange devices hung from the ceiling, and the floor was covered in patterns that seemed to shift when Maya wasn't looking directly at them. These symbols are based on the alien technology your grandmother studied, Park Jin explained, pointing to the patterns on the floor. Stand in the center and try to focus on what you're feeling. Maya stepped into the middle of the room, and immediately the patterns began to glow with a soft blue light. She could feel energy flowing through the floor, connecting to something deep underground. "What is this place?" she asked, watching the lights dance around her feet. "It's a training chamber your grandmother designed. She built it to help you learn to control your abilities when the time came." Park Jin handed Maya a small device that looked like a metal cube with strange markings on each side. "This is a piece of technology from the meteorite. Try to activate it." Maya held the cube in her hands, and it immediately began to warm up. The markings started glowing, and she heard a low humming sound that seemed to come from inside her own head. Suddenly, the cube projected a hologram of a star map above her palm. "I can understand it," Maya whispered, staring at the floating image. "I know what these symbols mean." The map showed Earth's solar system, but also dozens of other star systems connected by glowing lines. Some of the lines were pulsing, red, like warning signals. Those red lines show the path the alien fleet is taking to reach Earth, Park Jin said. "They're using some kind of faster-than-light travel that we don't understand yet." Maya focused harder on the cube, and more information appeared in her mind. She could see the alien ships, massive vessels that looked like living creatures made of metal and crystal. They moved through space by bending reality around them, traveling distances that should take years in just days. "There are 12 ships in the main fleet," Maya said, the knowledge flowing into her mind like water. "Each one carries thousands of beings that look like us but aren't quite human. They're scouts from something much bigger." Park Jin nodded grimly. "Your abilities are developing faster than we expected, but we're running out of time." During their training session, Maya was practicing with another alien device when something went wrong. She was trying to activate a communication device that looked like a glowing crystal when suddenly she felt a surge of energy building up inside her chest before she could stop it. The energy exploded outward in all directions. Every electronic device in the room immediately shut down. The lights went out. The computers crashed, and even Park Jin's watch stopped working. The electromagnetic pulse she had created was so powerful it had fried everything within 50 feet. "Did I do that?" Maya asked in the darkness. "Yes," Park Jin replied, his voice excited despite the blackout. "Your abilities are fully awakening. But that pulse was probably detected by government satellites. We need to be more careful over the next few days." Park Jin taught Maya how to control her growing powers. She learned to sense electronic devices from hundreds of feet away, to communicate with alien technology using only her thoughts, and to generate controlled electromagnetic fields. But with each new ability, she felt less human and more like something else entirely. One evening, as they finished training, Park Jin showed Maya satellite images on a backup computer system. The images showed strange objects in Earth's upper atmosphere, small, dark shapes that moved in patterns no human spacecraft could achieve. "The alien scout ships are already here," Park Jin said quietly. "They're studying our defenses, mapping our cities, preparing for the main fleet's arrival." Maya stared at the images, knowing that somewhere up there, Alien beings were watching Earth and planning its future. The weight of responsibility felt crushing. Government agents have been asking questions about my research. Park Jin continued. They knew something is happening, but they don't understand what. We're running out of time to prepare you. That night, Maya stood in front of the metal wall in the training facility. Looking at her reflection, her eyes seemed different now, brighter, more focused. She could see her grandmother's determination in her own face. The same strength that had led Dr. Kim Hanna to make the impossible choice to change her families. DNA. Maya was becoming something new, something that had never existed before. She was still human, but she was also something more, the bridge between two worlds, the key to humanity's survival. Outside, the sound of engines broke the quiet night. Through the facility's monitors, Maya watched as black SUVs surrounded Park Jin's mansion. Government agents in dark suits were getting out, carrying equipment that looked designed for capturing someone alive. They found us, Park Jin said, his face pale as he watched the screens. Maya, everything depends on what happens next. The alarms in Park Jin's underground facility started screaming as red lights flashed everywhere. On the security monitors, Maya watched dozens of black SUVs surrounding the mansion above them. Men in dark suits were setting up equipment that looked like it could punch through solid rock. They're using ground-penetrating scanners, Park Jin said, grabbing a backpack from a hidden locker. They knew about the tunnels. We have maybe 5 minutes before they find the entrance. Maya's heart was pounding, but strangely, she felt more alert than scared. Her enhanced sensors could detect the electromagnetic signatures of all the government equipment above them. She could feel their radio communications buzzing through the air like angry wasps. This way, Park Jin said, leading her to what looked like a solid wall. He pressed his hand against a hidden panel, and the wall slid open to reveal a tunnel that stretched into darkness. They ran through the narrow passage, their footsteps echoing off the concrete walls. Maya could hear explosions behind them as the government agents blasted their way into the facility. But something else was bothering her. She could sense other people in the tunnels, people who weren't part of the government team. Park Jin, she whispered, grabbing his arm. We're not alone down here. Before he could respond, figures emerged from the shadows ahead of them. But these weren't government agents. They looked human, but something was wrong with their eyes. They reflected light like an animal's eyes in the dark. Dr. Park Jin. One of them said in a voice that sounded too smooth, too perfect, "You cannot hide the enhanced human from us. Our masters require presence." Maya felt a chill run down her spine. Who are the alien collaborators? Park Jin whispered. Humans who made deals with the scouts years ago. They've been changed. The collaborators moved forward, and Maya could see that their movements were too fluid, too coordinated. They moved like a single organism instead of individual people. One of them raised a device that looked like a twisted piece of metal and crystal. "The hybrid will come with us," the collaborator said. "Resistance is pointless." Maya felt anger building in her chest, and with it came power. The alien device in the collaborator's hand suddenly sparked and died. The man looked at it in confusion, then looked at Maya with new fear in his strange eyes. "Run!" Park Jin shouted. They sprinted down a side tunnel as the collaborators gave chase. Maya could hear their footsteps behind them, moving faster than any human should be able to run. The tunnel opened into a subway maintenance area, and Park Jin led her toward an old service elevator. But as they reached the elevator, government agents burst through another entrance. They were trapped between two groups that both wanted to capture her. "Maya Thompson," shouted the lead agent, a woman with short gray hair and cold eyes. "You need to come with us for your own safety. We know what you are. She belongs to us, hissed one of the collaborators, his eyes glowing brighter in the dim light. Maya looked back and forth between the two groups, and suddenly she understood something important. She wasn't a victim here. She was the most powerful person in the room. The power built up inside her like a storm. And this time she didn't try to control it. She let it explode outward in a focused electromagnetic pulse. Every electronic device in the area immediately died. Guns jammed. Radios went silent, and the lights went out in the darkness. She grabbed Park Jin's hand and ran for the subway. Tracks. They emerged onto the street level to find the city in chaos. People were pointing up at the sky, and Maya could see why. Strange lights were moving between the clouds. Not aircraft lights, but something that pulsed with colors that hurt to look at directly. The scout ships, Park Jin said, breathing hard. They're not hiding anymore. A black sedan screeched round the corner, heading straight for them. Maya raised her hand without thinking, and the car's engine died instantly. It rolled to a stop just feet away from them. More vehicles were approaching from other directions. We need transportation, Park Jin said, looking round desperately. Maya spotted an older motorcycle parked nearby, old enough that it didn't have much electronic equipment to interfere with. She ran to it and placed her hands on the engine. She could feel the mechanical parts, understand how they fit together, with a thought. She started the engine without keys. How did you do that? Park Jin asked as he climbed on behind her. I don't know, Maya replied. But that wasn't entirely true. She was beginning to understand that her abilities went far beyond just sensing electronics. She could interface with any technology, human or alien, like it was part of her own body. They raced through the city streets as government vehicles and unmarked cars gave chase. Maya weaved between traffic with reflexes that were definitely not human anymore. When a helicopter appeared overhead, she sent a focused pulse upward that disabled its electronics, forcing it to make an emergency landing. Turn left here, Park Jin shouted over the engine noise. They pulled into what looked like an abandoned warehouse, but as they went inside, Maya realized it was anything but abandoned. The building was full of equipment that was definitely not human-made, crystalline. Structures grew from the walls like living things, and devices hummed with energy that made Maya's enhanced senses tingle. What is this place? She asked, staring at technology that seemed to be part machine and part organism. Your grandmother's secret laboratory, Park Jin said. The place where she did her most important work. Maya walked toward one of the crystal devices, and it began to glow brighter as she approached. When she touched it, information flooded her mind. Not just facts, but understanding. She could see the alien scout ships in Earth's atmosphere, could sense their communication signals, could understand their language. They're not just scouts, she said. Her voice filled with new knowledge. They're advanced terraforming units. They're already beginning to change Earth's atmosphere to make it suitable for their species. Park Jin looked grim. How long do we have? Maya focused harder on the alien signals. The main fleet will arrive in 18 hours. But Park Jin, there's something else. They're not just conquerors through the crystal device. Maya could see images of other worlds the aliens had visited. Some they had conquered and changed completely, but others, worlds with species that proved useful to them, they had incorporated into their empire as partners. They're offering Earth a choice, Maya said. Submit and become part of their galactic empire, or resist and be destroyed. Your grandmother didn't just study alien DNA, Park Jin said. Watching my interface with the alien technology, she weaponized human evolution itself. She created you to be more than just a bridge between species. Maya turned to look at him, and he could see that her eyes now held the same strange light as the alien devices. She created me to be humanity's negotiator, Maya said. Someone who could speak their language, understand their technology, and prove that humans are worth keeping alive. Outside, the alien ships in the atmosphere were getting brighter and more numerous. Through the crystal device, Maya could sense the massive fleet approaching Earth, hundreds of ships carrying millions of beings from across the galaxy. But she could also sense something else. The aliens were curious about her. They had detected her electromagnetic pulses, had felt her interfacing with their technology. They knew something new had appeared on Earth, something that had never existed before. Maya looked at her reflection in one of the crystal surfaces. She still looked human, but she knew she was something entirely new. Her grandmother had spent years planning for this moment, creating a bridge between two species that could determine the fate of humanity. The first of the main fleet's ships broke through Earth's atmosphere. Massive and beautiful and terrifying, all at once. "They're here," Maya whispered, feeling the weight of humanity's future resting on her shoulders. The alien ships filled the sky like a dark storm cloud, their massive forms blocking out the sun. Maya stood on the roof of the tallest building in the city, watching as hundreds of vessels descended toward Earth. Each ship was the size of a city block, their surfaces covered in patterns that seemed to shift and move like living skin. People in the streets below were screaming and running, but Maya felt strangely calm. Through the crystal device she carried, she could sense the aliens' communications. They were confident, almost bored. They had done this same invasion thousands of times on thousands of worlds. They expected humanity to surrender within hours. "Maya," Harkjin said through her earpiece, "the military is mobilizing, but their weapons won't even scratch those ships. You're our only hope." Maya closed her eyes and reached out with her enhanced senses. She could feel the alien technology humming all round her, not just in the ships, but in smaller devices scattered throughout Earth's atmosphere, scout probes, communication relays, and terraforming equipment that had been secretly deployed over the past months. "They've been preparing for this invasion for years," Maya said, "but they made one mistake. They never imagined someone like me could exist." The largest alien ship descended directly above the city, its shadow covering everything in darkness. Maya could sense the beings inside, tall, graceful creatures with silver skin and eyes like liquid mercury. They were ancient, having lived for thousands of years, and they had seen the rise and fall of countless civilizations. Maya reached out with her mind and touched the ship's main computer system. Immediately, alarms began blaring inside the vessel. The aliens had never encountered anything that could interface with their technology so easily, through the ship's sensors. Maya could see the alien commander, a being called Kang Ho who had led invasions across half the galaxy. He was standing in the ship's control center, his silver face twisted with confusion as his computers reported impossible readings. "There is something on this world that should not exist," Kang Ho said to his officers, "a hybrid consciousness that can access our systems." Maya smiled and sent a message directly into the ship's communication ray. "Hello, Commander Kang Ho. Welcome to Earth. I'm Maya Thompson, and I think we need to talk." The effect was immediate. Every alien on the ship felt Maya's presence in their minds, not as an invasion, but as a calm, confident voice speaking their own language. But she wasn't just speaking with words. She was communicating through their technology, using frequencies and patterns that only the most advanced beings in the galaxy could understand. "Impossible," Kang Ho transmitted back. "This primitive world cannot possess such technology. We don't possess it," Maya replied, her voice carrying to every ship in the fleet simultaneously. "We evolved it. That's what humans do. We adapt. We change. We become something new when we need to prove her point." Maya reached out to the terraforming devices the aliens had hidden round Earth. With a thought, she turned them off. One by one, devices that had been slowly changing Earth's atmosphere for months suddenly went silent. But Maya didn't stop there. She began to reprogram the devices, turning them into something entirely different. Instead of changing Earth's air to suit the aliens, she made them create small pockets of alien-suitable atmosphere in key locations around the planet. You see, Maya said, her voice now carrying a note of amusement, you came here to change our world to suit you. But I'm offering you something better. A world where both our species can exist together. The alien fleet hesitated, their formation. Weaving's commanders throughout the Armada tried to understand what was happening. They had encountered resistant species before, but never one that could turn their own technology into a tool for a cooperation. Kang Ho appeared on Maya's crystal device. His silver face filled with something Maya had never expected to see from an alien conqueror. Curiosity. What are you? He asked. I'm human. Maya replied simply. But I'm also something new. My grandmother saw you coming decades ago, and she prepared for this moment. She gave me the ability to speak your language, to understand your technology, and to offer you something you've never encountered before. And what is that? Maya gestured to the city below, where millions of people were watching the sky in fear and wonder. Partnership. You've conquered 1,000 worlds. But you've never found a species that could truly work with you as equals. Humans are different. We don't just survive. We evolve. We adapt. We become whatever we need to become. To demonstrate, Maya began interfacing with human technology throughout the city. She connected power grids to alien energy systems, merged human computers with alien databases, and created hybrid communication networks that could carry both human and alien languages. Within minutes, she had created a small but functional example of what Earth could become, a world where two species worked together, each contributing their unique strengths. Your species fights with weapons. Maya continued. We fight with ideas. Your species conquers worlds. We transform them together. We could build something the galaxy has never seen before. The alien fleet hung in the sky, silent and motionless, as Kang Ho and his commanders considered Maya's proposal. Through the crystal device, Maya could sense their debate. Some wanted to destroy Earth immediately, fearing the threat that hybrid beings like Maya might represent. Others were intrigued by the possibility of true partnership. You speak of evolution. Kang Ho finally said, but evolution requires proof. Show us that your species is truly ready to join the galactic community. Maya smiled and reached out with her abilities on a scale she had never attempted before. She connected with every piece of alien technology on Earth simultaneously. Every scout probe, every hidden device, every system on every ship in the fleet. But instead of trying to destroy or disable them, she began to integrate them with human technology. She created a planetary network that could benefit both species, showing the aliens exactly what human creativity and adaptability could accomplish. This is what we offer, Maya said, her voice now carrying to every being in the alien fleet. Not submission, not conquest, but true partnership. We'll help you explore new worlds, develop new technologies, and build a galactic civilization that's stronger because of our differences. The alien fleet began to change formation, their ships spreading out across Earth's sky in what Maya recognized as a peaceful configuration. Kang Ho's image appeared on screens throughout the world as he addressed both species. We came here expecting to find another primitive world to conquer, he said. Instead, we have found something unprecedented. A species ready to evolve beyond the boundaries of a single planet. Earth will not be conquered. It will become the first truly integrated world in our empire, a place where multiple species work together as equals. Maya felt tears running down her face as she watched the alien ships begin to land peacefully in the designated areas she had prepared round the world. Humans and aliens would soon meet face to face, not as conquerors and conquered, but as partners in building a new kind of civilization. She looked up at the stars, knowing that humanity's greatest adventure was just beginning. Her grandmother's sacrifice had given her people something more valuable than safety. It had given them a future among the stars, a chance to become part of something bigger than they had ever imagined. Maya Thompson, the waitress who had discovered her destiny in a billionaire's photograph, had become humanity's bridge to the galaxy. Earth's isolation was over, and the real journey was just beginning. The end.